On this week's episode of Ride the Lightning, the Tesla and EV podcast, Tesla makes 3 very unique updates to the Model 3 that have absolutely nothing to do with each other, but are nevertheless interesting. Plus, the state of New Jersey makes a baffling decision that forces Tesla to decommission superchargers along the New Jersey Turnpike. Volkswagen plans to go big with Rivian software, and more. What's happening, friends? Welcome to Ride the Lightning. It is your weekly Tesla and EV podcast, recording here on June 6th, publishing this on June 8th, 2025. And I am all alone here in Los Angeles. No dogs with me. I am out here on a work trip, and it's a hotel room. What can I say? I'm happy to be here. Got my microphone, got my laptop, and I'm ready to talk Tesla and EV for you. I'll start by saying this, and that is, as of June 6th, when I'm recording this, I remain shocked that Tesla has not yet formally announced the refresh, however mild or not it might end up being, for the Model S and Model X. I honestly thought for sure it'd be this week, after all the public sightings of that new blue color that I started calling sky blue that we've been having recently. So Refresh Watch 2025 continues, at least for one more week, I suppose. I wanted to next start the podcast by saying a quick congratulations to the Giga Nevada team at Tesla, who produced their 1 millionth Powerwall this week. Now, I happen to be the very fortunate and proud owner of one of them, and it's just awesome. I love having it, and it's so great paired with my solar. It helps keep my electricity bill at a near zero level from the utility company, and I've got a backup, of course, for the occasional time that the power goes out. So I hope Tesla can keep bringing the prices on Powerwalls down so that more and more homes can get them, because it is really a fantastic product. Also, while I'm congratulating people, I want to congratulate all of Tesla's vehicle factory teams, as Giga Berlin this week had the honor of producing Tesla's 8 millionth vehicle ever made, and it happened late in the week. Now, the odds were always going to be good that the 8 millionth vehicle was going to be a Model Y, or really any Milestone vehicle is going to be a Y, just based on how many more Model Ys Tesla makes than anything else. But since the 8 millionth car was made at Giga Berlin, we know for a fact that it was a Model Y, since that's, of course, the only car that they make there. And in fact, they happen to post a picture of it on the Tesla X account with the Giga Berlin team surrounding the Milestone Model Y. And if you're curious, as I always am with these things, it's ultra red, which, I don't know, to me seems fitting for some reason. I guess since red is still Tesla's kind of official company color in their logo. So I wonder who will get to take that 8 millionth Tesla ever made home. I presume it's going to a customer, or maybe Tesla will hang on to it and eventually start the EV museum that I've done a lightning round on Patreon about, that I think they should be doing, that can celebrate all of their Milestone vehicles and other cool and rare and special and noteworthy EVs. Like, you could, of course, get the EV1 in there, etc., etc. Anyway, congratulations to really everybody at Tesla, past and present. 8 million vehicles. That is pretty spectacular. So that means in about a year from now, so middle of 2026, they should hit their 10 millionth vehicle ever made. And that'll be an even bigger milestone. Next up this week, while we still have no Cybertruck price cut like I keep incorrectly predicting, but Tesla is pulling perhaps the last major demand lever that they can reasonably pull before actually cutting the price, and that demand lever is offering 0% financing. You do have to buy FSD supervised to get it. But yes, if you do that, Tesla is currently offering 0% financing on the Cybertruck. The only other catch is it's currently a quarterly or a offer for this quarter only. You have to take delivery by the end of the quarter, which in this case means by the end of the month. So you've only got a few weeks left if that is of interest. I mean, I'll say this, when I almost bought the Cybertruck last fall, part of the reason that I went with the Model 3 was just overall price and value, and the interest rate factored into that. I was lucky to get 0% financing on my new Model 3 Performance, but at the time, the Cybertruck was going to cost me a decent chunk just in interest by comparison from the $0 that I would spend on interest on the Model 3 loan. I think the best I could find was a credit union, maybe I want to say 4.5%, I think, was the percentage that I was working with there. So yeah, 0%, definitely an appealing thing. If you've been on the fence about Cybertruck, perhaps this will tip you over. All right, getting on to the headline story this week about the 3 interesting new things about the Model 3 this week. I'll start with what is, for me personally, the most fun of those, which is this, a new product for the Model 3. Now, technically, this product would fit any Model 3, but as it currently stands, you can only buy it if you own a Model 3 Performance, because when you go in the Tesla online shop, it, of course, knows what cars are on your account, and you do have to own a Model 3 Performance, specifically a new one, so a 2024 or a 2025 for this one, and it's new puddle lights specifically for the Model 3 Performance, and what makes them fun is that they are the insane mode flag-shaped logo, otherwise known as the Performance Model badge that's on the back of the Model 3 Performance. So meaning they cast that flag logo down onto the ground when you open the doors. They're not cheap, $75 for these, and I'll read you the description now from the Tesla shop website. Quote, Model 3 Performance projection lights present a high-definition Model 3 Performance badge onto the ground every time you open your door. Includes 2 easy-to-install projection lights suitable for the front driver and passenger's side doors. Well, if you're wondering, Ryan, did you buy one? Yeah, I caved instantaneously. I didn't even attempt to muster up any willpower. And I bought them even though I already bought the TESLA wordmark puddle lights, and I had Immaculate Reflections, my detailer, install them. So my plan for these, for the new ones, the performance projection lights, is to have those put in the front doors and move the Tesla wordmark puddle lights to the rear doors. And yes, they will fit. So I'll add as well, I have absolutely no doubt that Tesla is going to offer a plaid flag version of these, probably sooner rather than later for those of you with the Model S and or Model X plaid as well. In fact, I'm kind of surprised that they haven't offered them already. I guess maybe they decided to start with the Model 3 Performance puddle light because it's a higher volume car than the plaid S or X, but I'm sure that Tesla is going to get around to doing the plaid projection light sooner rather than later. And no doubt, as soon as the new Model Y Performance is officially launched, these exact same puddle lights will be made available for that vehicle as well. Next this week, here's something I hadn't noticed, and I didn't see it reported anywhere, so I'm honestly not sure how long this has been going on. If it's been like this for a while, then I'll just offer an apology up front that I'm so late to the party. But regardless, I figure that if it was news to me, odds are it might be news to some of you as well. And that is this. if you buy a new Model 3 Performance, stealth gray paint is available at no extra cost, as it is on all of the other trims. However, both pearl white multicoat and deep blue metallic are also available at no extra cost, specifically on the Model 3 Performance, which means that if you do buy a Performance 3, you have your choice of half of the 6-color paint lineup for free, that you don't have to spend any additional money. And so that's pretty nice. Again, if this has been there for a while, I apologize for not seeing it until this week. And this is on top of, by the way, I guess I'll get to that in a minute. But so this is on the Model 3 Performance only, which, okay, that's what I was going to say, is that it still has the same deal going on it that I took advantage of last December, which is any paint color is free on the Model 3 Performance if you buy FSD, which I did. But at this point, I guess that offer really only matters if you're wanting to get diamond black paint, quicksilver, or ultra red. And as it has been since right about exactly when, maybe not right on day one, but pretty quickly, like within a week or two after the new Model 3 Performance first came out, just over a year ago, it was last May, white interior is no charge. That's always been the case, again, for the past basically year now. You've not had to pay any premium to get white interior in the Model 3 Performance. So you have your choice at no extra cost on the Performance model of now interior and 3 paint colors. So I think the question is, why is Tesla doing this? Why are they doing 3 paint colors plus the interior? And I think the answer is pretty obvious. And it's to get more people to buy the Model 3 Performance by making more configurations of it eligible for the tax credit. Now, I would anecdotally say, and I can't emphasize enough that I have zero data to back this up whatsoever, but I personally see a far lower percentage of new Model 3 Performances compared to new non-performance Model 3s compared to that ratio with the Generation 1 Model 3, where I definitely saw the Performance 3s pretty commonly. Like certainly the long ranges, the standard ranges, the dual motors, like those were all far more common than the Performance 3 of yesteryear. But I would see the Performance 3s pretty regularly. These days, even in the Tesla-tastic San Francisco Bay Area, I see a million new Model 3s. Like they're everywhere now. You know, they've been out again for a year and a half at this point. But again, in my observation, in my experience, it's pretty rare that I ever see the Performance model, which, by the way, it's, if you're wondering, well, how can you tell? One of the things I like a lot about the new Model 3 Performance compared to the old one is that you can tell that it's a Performance from any angle, which was not the case in the old Model 3 Performance, where if you were looking at it in your rear view mirror or just looking at it head on, like from the front, you can't tell that it's a Performance model. But now on the new one, it has the different front fascia and front splitter. From the side, it's got, of course, the wheels and the larger red brake calipers. From the rear, it's got the carbon fiber spoiler and the different diffuser and the plaid flag, the insane mode flag badge. So any angle, you can now tell very more easily which Model 3s, new Model 3s, are performance cars. But anyway, I think it is clearly the tax credit eligibility. That's what must factor into the fact that I'm seeing them much more rarely than I did the Gen 1 Model 3 Performance. And that is because the new Model 3 Performance is priced right at the tax credit MSRP limit for sedans of $55,000. That is also no doubt why, which of course I said it at the time, the white interior is a free option on any Model 3 Performance, because otherwise, if it weren't for that, then there would literally be, again, and the paint thing that I'm talking about now, there'd only be one configuration at all, which is stealth gray paint with black interior, where you could buy the new Model 3 Performance and still get the $7,500 tax credit right off the top, right at the point of sale. Any other configuration would suddenly become a lot more money, a lot more expensive by comparison, because you're not only paying extra for the paint color or the white interior if it would have been that way, but you're not getting the $7,500 off the car. So now you can get stealth gray, deep blue metallic, or pearl white multicoat with either black interior or white interior and still get that tax credit. Or again, if you decide to purchase FSD with the car, you can still get any configuration of the Model 3 Performance you want and get the tax credit, which is what I was lucky enough to take advantage of back in December. And I am thrilled with that deal. Because I had intended to purchase FSD anyway, because I planned to keep the car for many years. But we also know, straight from Elon himself, that the take rate of FSD purchases is low. And so that's why I wanted to bring this up, not only as just something of interest that I seemingly missed, unless it did happen recently, but just so that it's now awesome to be able to point out that you can get a Model 3 Performance in a reasonable variety of configurations. Again, not just one, not just stealth gray with black interior, but a reasonable variety of configurations and still get that tax credit without having to buy FSD, which means if that is you, if you are not interested in purchasing FSD, you can get the Model 3 Performance for well under $50,000. Like 47.5 basically, right? So, which for what you get with that car, with what it can do and how nice it looks, and the fact that you can choose white interior and not have to pay extra, and you've got the 3 paint colors to choose from, that's a heck of a lot of car for under 50 grand. I mean, it's really, really impressive. And by the way, if my hypothesis that I sort of laid out there a moment ago, that the Performance 3s aren't selling super well without tax credit eligibility on a reasonable amount of configurations, it doesn't bode well for if and when the tax credit were to go away. That is, again, if the bill currently passed by the House were to also pass the Senate without any changes to the tax credit legislation specifically and get signed into law. But we'll see. I mean, it just says if the tax credit does go away and none of the Teslas and no EVs have a tax credit anymore, the Model 3 Performance will probably go back to being or continue to be a fairly rare configuration, fairly rare version that you see out on the roads. But getting back to a happier thought than that. And speaking of paint colors, which of course is what this particular story is about, just for fun, I asked you in this week's Patreon poll which new Tesla Blue you like better. It was on my mind because, again, this story about Model 3 Performance, the deep blue metallic, is one of those free colors now on Model 3 Performance. So I wanted to ask, which new Tesla Blue do you prefer? And I did post pictures of both the new Model S and X Blue that we don't know the official name of, and I posted a picture on the Patreon poll of Glacier Blue, which is available on Model Y outside of North America as well. And the results, I honestly wasn't sure what to expect on this one. Because like deep blue metallic, a lot of people really like that, right? A lot of you listening have that color on your Tesla. And so I thought, well, maybe that one's going to win out over the new thing because people they like what they know. But no, the results here of the poll, and there were plenty of votes this week, so thank you to everybody that took the time to stop by and vote. 48% of poll voters chose Glacier Blue, which again is currently only available on Model Ys made outside of North America. The next two were neck and neck. So 22% of you said, I like the deep blue metallic we've had the past 10 years, and 21% of you voted for the new Model S and X blue. And then 9% of you, I didn't want to leave out you OG Model S owners out there. So as a fourth option, I included gimme the original super dark blue metallic from the early Model S days. 9% of you chose that. So thanks to everybody for taking the time to swing by the Patreon page and vote. Again, my Patreon is there for people to voluntarily choose to support me and what I'm doing with this podcast. But the poll question each week, you don't have to be backing me at all. It's totally free. It's open to the public. So swing on by every week. Typically Tuesday evening is when the new poll question goes up. You can just stop by patreon.com/Tesla podcast to cast your vote. Staying on the topic of the Model 3, as promised in the headline, the title of this show, here's something that Europe has had for years now on the Model 3 that North America is finally getting official support for, and that is a Model 3 tow package. I saw this story first on Drive Tesla Canada, who writes, Tesla has officially launched a factory tow package for the Model 3 in North America, ending years of speculation and aftermarket workarounds. The new tow package is only compatible with 2024 plus, meaning 2024 or 2025, Model 3 rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive variants, which is, of course, the redesigned Highland model. This long-anticipated release brings the North American Model 3 in line with its European counterpart, which has offered a factory tow package since 2019. Until now, Tesla drivers in Canada and the US had to rely on third-party options like the EcoHitch Stealth Hitch, which are obviously not officially supported by Tesla and had the potential to void warranties. Tesla's official package, priced at $1,300 in the US, includes a high-strength steel tow bar with a 2-inch hitch receiver, a North American standard 7-pin connector, a trailer harness, and most importantly, compared to third-party options, a dedicated tow mode software package. According to Tesla, the setup supports towing up to 2,200 pounds, making it suitable for lightweight trailers or small cargo carriers. This compares to the 3,500 pounds of a tow limit for the Model Y. Ball mounts are not included, as the type you will need depends on the trailer being used. However, the price does include shipping to a Tesla service center and full installation, making the price perhaps a bit more reasonable. Well, I'm just not sure why North America never got this on the Generation 1 Model 3, but there had to be some good reason for it. But thankfully, it appears that Tesla has baked it in from the jump on the Generation 2 Highland cars, although the access hatch is underneath the car at the very back, rather than being, for lack of a better term, right on the lower part of the bumper on the Generation 1 and Generation 2 Model Y. And for my fellow Model 3 performance owners, by the way, I took a look at my own car. The access panel is there. And I went and checked that because Tesla's description said, as you heard me read, the rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive variants. And while technically the performance version is an all-wheel drive car, Tesla didn't specifically call out the performance version in its online shop listing for compatibility. But yes, the access panel is there, except Tesla says this tow hitch isn't compatible. And the reason that I know that is because I went into the online Tesla shop through my Tesla app, which again knows which cars are on my account, and it said, this accessory is not compatible with the vehicles in your Tesla account. So I guess my first hunch was right. Tesla didn't specifically mention the performance version, and thus it is not compatible. Not that I personally planned on doing any towing in that car anyway, but that is probably going to disappoint some of my fellow Highland Performance Model 3 owners out there. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but there it is. Real quick, I want to mention this week's Patreon bonus mini episode. I call them the lightning rounds. I do them every single week on Patreon for the folks who very kindly and generously support me at that $10 tier or higher. Each tier of the Patreon, they start at just $5 a month, by the way, has different perks and bonuses, and they all stack. So the higher you go, the more perks and bonuses you get. The most popular tier is that $10 per month tier, with those lightning round mini episodes, but by the way, you also get the $5 perk, which is an ad-free episode each week and early access to each week's episode. So I wanted to mention this week's lightning round topic. I had a fun time doing this one. I recast 6 famous movie and TV cars as Teslas. I'll give you one guess as to what I started this with, but I did 5 others as well. If you can guess the first one, there are 5 others. So I had a good time kind of, going back into my memory banks from a lot of the 80s shows and movies that I love that prominently featured cars. So check out that lightning round mini episode on Patreon if you're already supporting me. If you're not yet supporting me on Patreon, I would be very, very grateful if you'd consider it. And maybe today's not the day, maybe sometime down the road, but maybe today is the day. I've put out 514 straight episodes of this podcast, going back nearly 10 years now, and my goal is to just be here for you. And I've got the receipts to show that I've been doing that, and hopefully if you enjoy the podcast, maybe you want to consider a pledge on Patreon. That is the way that you can best support the podcast if you choose to do so. So if that sounds good, head on over to my Patreon page at patreon.com/Tesla podcast. And that's got all the different tier information. There's the month-to-month option to pledge. There's also an annual option if you just want to spend money once and say, you know what, Ryan, I'll lay out a little money for you once a year. There's an annual pledge option. And if you choose that, you get a 10% discount for the annual pledge. So again, patreon.com/Tesla podcast. Continuing with this week's Tesla news, this next one probably going to bum out my New Jersey listeners, although I would imagine that word has already gotten around to my New Jersey listeners. So for the rest of you that may not have heard about this one does not bring me any joy to report. And as somebody originally from New Jersey who still prides himself on being originally from New Jersey, Taylor Ham for the win. This one is frustrating to report to you, and that is this. The New Jersey state government is rejecting Tesla's seemingly very generous offer to put in a whole bunch more V4 superchargers that would be available to all EVs along the New Jersey Turnpike. So the New Jersey Turnpike Authority posted this short press release. They said, service areas on the New Jersey Turnpike will begin transitioning to fully universal open access EV chargers on June 6th. That would be today as I'm recording this. The chargers provided by Apple Green Electric are compatible with all makes and models of EVs. The universal chargers will be available as of June 6th at the Vince Lombardi, Woodrow Wilson, Richard Stockton, James Fenimore Cooper, Joyce Kilmer, and Walt Whitman service areas. The Turnpike Authority is working diligently with Apple Green to get the universal chargers online soon at 3 other Turnpike locations. The chargers are expected to be operational in the Molly Pitcher service area in July of 2025, and the Clara Barton and John Fenwick service areas in fall of 2025. Turns out, though, there's a lot more to the story than just Jersey putting in some universal chargers from a company called Apple Green Electric. And the rest of this story very much involves Tesla. I want to read you the entirety of Tesla's fairly lengthy post on this from the official Tesla Charging X account. It reads, "The New Jersey Turnpike Authority has chosen a sole third-party charging provider to serve the New Jersey Turnpike and is not allowing us to co-locate. As a result, NJTA requested 64 existing supercharger stalls on the New Jersey Turnpike to not be renewed and be decommissioned. We have been preparing for 3 years for this potential outcome by building 116 stalls off the New Jersey Turnpike, ensuring no interruption for our customers. The map below outlines the existing replacement superchargers, and Trip Planner will adjust automatically. Of course, they have a little image there on the X account. They say, we offered the NJTA above market commercial terms, including offering to build superchargers at all New Jersey service plazas and with equipment upgrades such as screens and NACS with CCS1 Magic Docks. Tesla always advocates for more infrastructure and co-location with additional third-party charging providers. This drives down costs through optionality and accelerates EV adoption by having sufficient capacity to shoulder peaks. We expect that about 30 times more fast charging capacity is needed to get to full EV adoption. NJTA's decision to remove rather than add critical charging infrastructure is a setback to New Jersey's EV adoption goals of 100% zero-emission new car sales by 2035. It removes turnpike access to the most reliable, 99.9% uptime, least congested, under 1% waiters, and cost-effective, about 30% lower dollars per kilowatt hour charging. We are still willing to invest in New Jersey Turnpike sites if NJTA or Governor Murphy want to reverse this decision. Otherwise, we will continue to build out the best possible infrastructure off the Turnpike to serve Delaware Valley Tesla and EV drivers of New Jersey." Now, Tesla also responded specifically to that press release that I read you at the top of this story, saying, "For clarity, Universal Open Access EV chargers are currently their CCS1 chargers. All North American EVs are transitioning to NACS. Half of New Jersey EV drivers already have NACS vehicles, and fewer than 1% have a NACS to CCS1 adapter." Their next bullet point: Tesla offers to have both NACS and CCS1 natively for these locations, eliminating the need for adapters and truly serving all EVs at each stall. Next bullet point: Tesla offers to co-locate and advocates against exclusivity. Reliable chargers should be added, not removed. Well, thank you for bearing with me through all that, because I know that it was a lot. That was a long story there. But I think that even if you don't live in New Jersey, it's a cautionary tale of what could happen in other states. Now, I don't know what NJTA's reasoning is for their decision, whether they're simply uninformed as to the benefits of a V4 supercharger with the Magic Dock for all EVs, and or the fact that NACS is now the industry adopted standard, or if this is that Apple Green or whatever they're called is like the brother-in-law of somebody at the NJTA that made this decision, or if there's a politically motivated thing going on against Elon here or what. I don't know. But as I have said many times, I believe, and I do think that history to date has shown this, that Tesla as a company, more often than not, does try to do the right thing. And I think, based on everything Tesla has just laid out in what I just read to you, that they are clearly trying to do the right thing here in New Jersey. And the NJTA is just not willing to hear any of it. And that's really unfortunate. Now, thankfully, the Tesla charging team is full of smart people who, as they mentioned, have been planning a backup plan, a contingency for just this kind of scenario. And they are putting that contingency into effect now. But what NJTA looks set to do, and again, decommission, remove 64 supercharging stalls and force Tesla to move their chargers off the turnpike, it sure seems like it's against the best interests of all EV drivers, whether they drive a Tesla or something else. So I hope that state leadership will reconsider Tesla's seemingly generous proposal here, because this to an EV owner, an EV enthusiast, a Tesla owner, this does not seem to make a lot of sense. Tesla opened up their charger to everybody. Everybody eventually came on board, and now Jersey's going down this other very strange road. So I don't get it, and I will hold out a little bit of hope that maybe Jersey will still do the right thing. Before I get to the last couple of Tesla stories that I've got for you this week, it's actually one Tesla, one Rivian story. I wanted to mention a couple friends of the podcast. Now, you may have heard me talk in the last few weeks here about the new Arrow, aka TNA. I met them at the Tesla Takeover event a couple years ago. They're based in Sweden, but they just reached out to me because they now have a US subsidiary. Now, why should you even care at all? Well, they're Tesla drivers themselves. 10 years ago, they started exploring the aftermarket wheels that were available for Tesla. One of their founders bought some nice wheels from a well-known brand, but found a 15% drop in range. So he really just dove in deep and asked himself, well, why? And when he couldn't find any wheels designed specifically for electric cars, well, they decided to start designing themselves. Now, arguably, the wheel is the single part of the car that not only affects the look of the car the most in terms of something that you can swap out yourself, but also the range. And that's why Tesla we see now, the Tesla themselves, they've got those Arrow wheels on most of their base wheels. It's to improve range. Well, the new Arrow went a step further with directional design and solid alloy Arrow wheels. That means they're lighter. They won a bunch of design awards. You can check out their wheels and see what they have to offer right now. Their new US website that was just launched is tnawheels.com, and it sells exclusively to the US, and most of the wheels are right now in stock in the aforementioned state of New Jersey, waiting to ship out to you. And you can use the coupon code Tesla Podcast to get a 10% discount at tnawheels.com. That's Tesla Podcast, all one word, at tnawheels.com, or click the link in the episode description. Meanwhile, my friends at Accelerate Auto, they have continued to crush it with their offering, which is, of course, an extended warranty designed specifically for EVs. By the way, they're celebrating their 10th anniversary, which is pretty cool. So this is a good time to mention them. I've had my policy with them now on our 2018 for, I guess it's 2.5. I'm getting towards the end of my 3-year, 40,000 mile policy. And you can choose your own. And that's the nice part, is you can choose. You could just do 2 years and 25,000 miles, or 10 years and 125,000 extra miles of warranty, or somewhere in between. So they have really worked hard to make this a good product. And I speak from experience, having had it for the last couple of years and used it a couple of times. It's a really nice customer service experience. Getting the policy is easy, customizing it is easy, and having to submit a claim is easy. And the reimbursement happens quickly and painlessly. So they offer as well the high voltage battery and drive unit coverage, either in addition to the regular coverage or even just that. If you just want to cover that, because those are the most expensive components of the car, you can do that too. So because you're a Ride the Lightning listener, you get $100 off when you select XCare's one-time payment option. Use the discount code LIGHTNING to get that. And the website, again, easiest thing to do is just click the link in the episode description, but it's accelerateauto.com/xcare. That's XCELERATEAUTO.com/XCARE. All right, we're in the home stretch of EV news this week. I've got one more Tesla story for you and then one Rivian story. So the last Tesla story is a follow-up to a recent one that I talked about here on the podcast. Tesla has filed a new trademark application for Tesla Robotaxi as the company aims to secure exclusive naming rights for its upcoming autonomous ride-hailing service. Thank you to Drive Tesla Canada, which is where I spotted this one, and they wrote, "This new application comes after earlier attempts to trademark the more generic terms Robotaxi and Cybercab were met with resistance by the United States Patent and Trademark Office. Tesla originally filed for the trademarks Robotaxi and Cybercab in October of 2024. The USPTO delayed the Cybercab application due to its similarity to numerous other trademarks involving the word cyber, mostly by Cybertruck accessory makers. The agency also responded to the Robotaxi application by requesting additional details, citing that it would not qualify for exclusive use by Tesla due to its widespread use across the autonomous vehicle industry. In response, Tesla has filed 3 new applications on May 31st of 2025, specifically for the phrase Tesla Robotaxi. Because this new term directly associates the service with the Tesla brand, it is more distinctive and less likely to be rejected as too generic, and that came via TechCrunch, is where Drive Tesla had found that one. The filings suggest Tesla intends to use the name Tesla Robotaxi not only for the autonomous vehicles themselves, but also for the mobile app and digital services that will support the platform. Well, again, it had been previously argued that it was too generic for the USPTO to approve. Well, throwing Tesla in front of it sure specifies things a bit more, no doubt. So, in fact, now that I think about this more, I almost wonder if Tesla did this on purpose, knowing that this might be a possible outcome, meaning that they would get rejected the first time. So that they tried for that more generic Robotaxi and Cybercab patent first, figuring that if it got approved, well, hey, that would be extra awesome for them. They would have the patent, the trademark on Robotaxi and on Cybercab. But if it got rejected, then they could just do what they've done, which is reapply with Tesla Robotaxi. So something tells me that this might have been the plan all along. I will be shocked if they get rejected again. I would expect that this next one will be approved or awarded, I guess, in this case. Finally, this week in other EV news, Rivian's R2 platform will power all future Volkswagen EVs. Saw this on Drive Tesla Canada one more time. Rivian's upcoming R2 platform has taken center stage in a major strategic shift at Volkswagen, with the German automaker confirming it will use the scalable architecture as the foundation for all its future electric vehicles. The news was confirmed by Wassim Ben Said, Rivian's chief software officer and co-CEO of the Rivian Volkswagen joint venture. And since I probably butchered the pronunciation of that, I do apologize. In a recent interview, Ben Said said that the R2's modular and scalable tech stack would, quote, underpin actually all future EV products at VW, including models across brands like Audi, Skoda, and Volkswagen itself. That comes via Reuters. While the R2 architecture will be the common denominator, each Volkswagen brand will retain its identity. Quote, each brand will have their own UI, look and feel, said Ben Said. Each brand will have their own suspension tuning, but underneath, the guts of the vehicle will be optimized based on the same technology and software architecture, And that's the part, the software architecture, that jumped out at me, because that won't surprise any of you, right? After all, you don't make a $5 billion deal with Rivian, if you're Volkswagen, only to make use of the reason that you made the deal primarily, which is their software. You don't just use it sometimes on particular cars. No, you use it far and wide. You use it in everything. It makes every vehicle team's lives easier, not just with the software that they're talking about here, but also the platform on the hardware side too. And ultimately, back on the software side specifically, it makes Volkswagen Group customers' lives easier. Really, I think any EV fan should be cheering for this one because, again, zeroing in on the software piece of it specifically, what's the common denominator that people cite as the biggest difference between Teslas and other EVs? It's the software. Compared to Tesla, I'm not saying other software is outright bad, some of it might be, but compared to Tesla, as you're choosing what EV to buy in the marketplace, pretty much everybody else's software is a notable downgrade. And, well, what does that do? That makes people not enjoy and not like their EV as much, which nobody wants. Rivian, by most accounts, has the most Tesla-like software experience and is the pretty clear runner-up in the software category in vehicles behind Tesla. And if Rivian now has more resources to put into making that software even better across not only their own product lineup, but the Volkswagen Group's, that's good news for drivers, aka the people that use that software every single day when they drive the car. So hopefully it also means that the Rivian software-powered cars will also improve faster, because hopefully software updates will come more often now that the size of that fleet using that software is going to get so much bigger. There's simply no downsides to this, in my opinion. Again, on the not just the software side, but also the hardware side of using the R2 platform. It's just going to mean the platform gets better and we get better cars out of it, and then we get cars that come out sooner and maybe even for a little cheaper because the platform is mature, it's developed, it's reliable. You're not starting from zero on a brand new car, a brand new EV. So I think whether you're a Rivian fan and or Rivian owner, a Volkswagen EV fan and or owner, or just somebody who champions EVs, there's no downside to this. This is a great story to finish off the week with. And that will do it, indeed, with this week's Tesla news. But stick with me. I'm not done yet. I've got some of your excellent Ride the Lightning hotline phone calls all queued up and ready to go right after this.
This is Bill Daniels, the voice of Night Industries 2000, or KIT. You're listening to Ride the Lightning, the Tesla unofficial podcast. Happy electric motoring.
It's time to hear from all of you, the Ride the Lightning listeners. If you've got a Tesla or EV-specific question, comment, or discussion topic, I invite you to call in with it. There are two easy ways to do that. Either use your smartphone's built-in voice recording software, record your question, please try to keep it to 90 seconds or less so that I can get to as many callers each week as possible, and email that file to me at teslapodcast@gmail.com. Or you can take that same 90-second or less question and just call in and leave a message anytime, day or night, on the Ride the Lightning hotline. It's a toll-free number, and that number is 1-888-989-8752. That number again, 1-888-989-TSLA. And if you know someone special with an upcoming birthday, anniversary, graduation, or some other special occasion, you can give them a unique gift of recorded voices from friends and family telling them why they're special. The recordings can be podcasted or put onto a keepsake. Visit lifeonrecord.com to learn more. First up this week is Bob from Connecticut.
Hey, Ryan. second-time caller, long-time listener, Bob from Connecticut. And I just wanted to share an idea that my daughter had while she was riding in the back of my Tesla. I'm sorry I didn't think of this myself. Anyhow, three of us were in the car, and we had to, hit the settings to go over and change it to allow us to do the carpool lane. And my daughter said, well, if the seats can detect how many people are in the car, why doesn't it just ask when it feels 3 people are in the seat, would you like to use available carpool lanes, yes or no, at the beginning of your drive? Instead of having to nest your way through the menu and find out, it asks you at the beginning of the drive. Thought it was a great idea. Love to see them pull more and more of this technology together and utilize it. So hope that helps. Take care. Hopefully somebody at Tesla will hear that one. And my daughter's name is Lauren, so I can give her credit and play this for her on the podcast if it plays. Take care.
Lauren, you're a smart kid. This is a fantastic idea. It's such a good idea, in fact, that I am surprised Tesla hasn't already implemented it. So, Bob, thank you for calling in and sharing this. I do genuinely think it's a great idea that makes a lot of sense. We know the car can sense when each seat is occupied, except I think maybe the rear middle seat. I'm not sure if there's one there. Anyway, so me not being an engineer, and that's my caveat for what I'm about to say, I would think that there's nothing stopping Tesla from implementing this. So cheers to both of you. Thank you so much for calling in with it. I do appreciate it. Next up is Eric from Vermont.
Hey, Ryan, this is Eric from Vermont, calling back. I just heard my call from a previous episode that about Tesla insurance. I kind of buried the lead. The specific question I had was on FSD. If the car is level 4 or level 5 autonomous, like they're trying to do in Austin, Texas, the liability should go to Tesla if the car gets in an accident. And obviously they have Tesla insurance in Austin, but they don't have Tesla insurance in a lot of cities that they may want to expand to. So I'm just wondering if they would use another insurance company instead of expanding Tesla insurance to those other states. Hopefully that clears it up. Thanks.
My apologies to you, Eric. I'm sure your call was fine and my brain just whiffed on it when I listened to it and jotted down my response in my show notes. But you're right about the robotaxi fleet presenting a unique insurance issue for Tesla, particularly, as you noted, in places where they don't yet offer Tesla insurance. They're going to have to make a deal with someone for sure. I Googled this, and here's what came up from the r/insurance subreddit. I cannot guarantee its accuracy, but after looking at the thread, it's definitely full of people from the insurance world who would know better than I would, certainly. So one poster said, quote, California requires $5 million in coverage, and Waymo's policy is from Star, S-T-A-R-R, Star Surplus Lines Insurance Company. End quote. So Tesla will probably have to do the same thing in places where they don't offer their own insurance. Now in California, they obviously do. But great thought here, Eric. I admit that I hadn't yet considered that key ingredient to robotaxi deployment is insuring the vehicles. Thank you so much for your call. I've just got time for one more call this week. It is from Bob in Minnesota.
Hi, Ryan. Bob from Minnesota again. I have a bit of a dilemma and then sort of a pro tip solution to the problem. So I recently upgraded from a 2018 Model 3 Performance to a Model Y Juniper Launch. And I mainly did this because of range degradation in the Model 3. And this was especially noticeable, of course, when I had mountain bikes on the roof of the Model 3. So now with the Model Y, I can put the mountain bikes on the back, and it isn't so much of an issue. The dilemma is that the bikes on the back seem to play havoc with the FSD computer. So it seems to think someone's tailgating me and it's trying to accelerate away. And it seems to lose its ability for lane keeping in kind of a dangerous way. The solution that I found for this is to just switch back to normal autopilot. That seems to work fine, even when the bikes are on the back. Of course, it's a little more annoying to drive in normal autopilot because you have to change lanes and speed manually, and that nag comes back where you have to jiggle the steering wheel every once in a while. But anyway, that's the situation. Let me know if you have any thoughts. Thanks for all you do.
Thank you for your call, Bob. I'm glad that you found a usable workaround for this situation, even if it's not ideal. I wish that I had something better to recommend for you, but I'm afraid I'm at a loss for this one. Now, my first thought was to put it into tow mode, but you might not be able to do that without the tow hitch physically installed, which I was kind of referenced earlier in the podcast. And even then, now that I think about it a little bit more, if I recall correctly, I think FSD gets disabled in tow mode anyway. So what I'm going to do is ask the audience. I'm going to throw this one out there to your fellow Tesla owners and enthusiasts. If anybody out there has a better solution for Bob, please feel free to call in or email me. And Bob, I hope that you're otherwise having a great time with that new Model Y, because as I'm sure you'd agree, going from a 2018 Model 3 Performance to a Generation 2 Model Y, and in my case, Generation 2 Model 3, it's a very noticeable upgrade. Thank you all so much for taking the time to call in. I promise I will get to more of your Ride the Lightning hotline phone calls next week, so keep those coming. But for right now, I'm just going to talk to you for a minute about what's going on with me and my cars. I have it's a little bit of an embarrassing story to tell you. I'll make it brief. The short version is that I managed to damage my own car in the dumbest possible way. Although, my paint protection film saved me from myself, in a sense. And in fact, that's what's damaged, is the PPF. So, I was washing my wife's car, the 2018, which is head-to-toe paint protection film. And just on the passenger side front door, just above the door handle, there was a big gob of pollen sort of stuck to the film. And I was washing the car, so I had the power washer that I always use. And I got right up on the pollen, point blank range, with a high pressure washer. You can see where this is going. And you're like, why? What is wrong with you, Ryan? Aren't you smarter than this? Turns out, no, I'm not. So I blasted right through the film. It ripped the film. That's how high pressure I was, because I was, again, at point blank range. So don't be like me. Don't do that. Especially if you don't have paint protection film, because you can take off chunks of paint doing that. So yeah, it's probably obvious to everyone except for me. Don't put a pressure washer at point blank range to something delicate like a painted car or even a PPF'd car. So I ripped a nice hole in the film, and do I have money to replace it right now? No, I don't. Now is not a good time. Our furnace went out earlier what was the winter, back in February. Our 30-year-old furnace went out, so it wasn't a surprise that it went, but it was a big expense that we had to deal with for our house, and we were lucky enough, we chose to spend more money. So that's, again, I'm not saying, I'm just taking responsibility, but we got a heat pump. We were excited to get a heat pump, even though it costs more, because in the long run, way more efficient, and we get air conditioning out of it, and it's not using natural gas like our previous furnace was. It's using electricity that we can generate for free with our solar panels. So anyway, it's not a good time for doing a vanity fix on what is now not my own daily driver anymore. So there's a nice little rip in the film, which is very obvious because it's like white, anyway, you can see it on my Instagram. If you'd like to see a picture of it, it's on my Instagram. But that was really silly on my part. I felt like an idiot instantly. I immediately self-confessed. Wait, that's a redundant. I immediately confessed to Jeff at Immaculate Reflections, and I was like, look what I did. I'm a moron. And he was sympathetic. He was like, ooh, but he did say, well, you probably saved the paint though. So I guess there's that. But anyhow, that's what's going on with me and my cars this past week. Also, on a happier note, when I get back from Los Angeles, my mom is visiting. And so I can't wait to give her a ride in particularly the new car, which she hasn't been in yet. She's been in the 2018, but I can't wait to give her a ride with FSD version 13. And the reason I say that is because my parents, I love them dearly, but I think even they might admit they are very, shall we say, reluctant people when it comes to embracing new technology. Like, I'll give you a good example. My dad, by design, by intentional choice, does not have a smartphone. He has a flip phone. He does have a cell phone in case somebody needs to get a hold of him. He has a flip phone on purpose in 2020, and he has forever. So they're not, like, I'm very open to new technology. And I think maybe every successive generation that relationship with technology changes. But anyway, I say all that not to try and speak ill of my parents. I'm not trying to do that. But I just can't wait to see my mom's reaction to FSD version 13. I'm thinking I won't tell her that it's on until we get to our destination, whatever we do, wherever we go, and then just say, hey, by the way, that was the car driving the entire time, and then just see what she says. So that'll be fun. Here's an entertainment recommendation for this week. The Nintendo Switch 2 launched this week, and I was lucky enough to get one. And its big launch title is Mario Kart World, the next big mainline Mario Kart game. It's the first one in many, many years now. I'm having a great time with it. So I definitely wouldn't say it's worth buying the console immediately just for Mario Kart World, but Mario Kart World is really, really good, super fun. So check that out if that is of interest. Time now for your Tesla Pro Tip of the Week. It comes from a longtime caller, friend of the podcast, Jerome from Sonoma, California.
Hey, Ryan. This is Jerome, and I wanted to just offer a pro tip, if I might. If anybody wants to change their autopilot settings from chill, standard, and hurry, you can either go through the menu, or what's quicker is the right scroll wheel. If you toggle it left and right, it'll step through the various settings. I recently came across it, and I'm glad that I did, so I thought I'd share it. Have a great day.
Howdy, Jerome. Thank you for this one. This is one of those tips that every FSD user should know, so I am happy to play it here in case anyone is learning about this one for the first time, as you just did. I personally find this shortcut really useful in one particular scenario. When I want to initiate a passing maneuver, but the standard mode of FSD is not wanting to go around the car in front of me. All I got to do is just click that right scroll wheel over to the right to switch the car into hurry, and the car will then immediately put on that left turn signal and pass that car. Then, once I'm past the car, I can just flick the right scroll wheel to the left to put it back into standard mode, and then it'll signal and get out of the left lane again. Cheers, my friend. Thank you so much for that pro tip of the week. And if anybody else out there has a good Tesla or EV pro tip of the week, I would love to hear it, and I would love to share it with everybody. So the way to submit that is easy. It's the same way that you send in a regular Ride the Lightning hotline call. I gave you the 2 easy call-in methods for that a little while ago. So just refer back to that, and I look forward to hearing your Tesla pro tips of the week. Before I say farewell from Los Angeles and get back to, well, a long weekend of video games, so I can't really complain, it is now time to mention some friends of Ride the Lightning that can hopefully be of use to you sooner or later. AbstractOcean.com. They've got so many great aftermarket accessories for all the Teslas plus the Rivians as well. So I encourage you to just go take a look. Like maybe you could just, while you're listening to this right now, just on your device or on a computer, whatever's handiest, just go to abstractocean.com and just click on whichever vehicle you have and you'll see all the great aftermarket accessories available for your car, like interior lighting kits, exterior lighting kits, the tempered glass custom fit screen protectors for that awesome center screen that's in the display, that's in the middle of the dashboard of all of our cars. There's just so much good stuff. You got to take a look, see what you like. Again, it's abstractocean.com, and the 15% off coupon code for first-time orders is RTL Podcast, all one word, RTL Podcast, for 15% off of your first order at abstractocean.com. The Snap Plate and the newer, stronger Snap Plate Plus available for S, X, 3, Y, and Cybertruck. Get yours at everyamp.com/RTL. And even better than that, the kind folks at Every Amp are offering you guys, the Ride the Lightning listeners, a discount. All you got to do is put in the coupon code RTL at checkout for whichever of the snap plates you're choosing to buy. This, if you're not familiar with it, is the front license plate bracket that is a nice, clean, minimalist design, and it won't get in the way of anything on the front of your Tesla, whether that's your parking sensors or your front bumper camera or anything else on the car, and it's not taking up a bunch of space. It's just a nice, minimal design. I personally recommend this over the front license plate bracket that Tesla gives you with your car, because that one sticks to your car's paint with automotive tape. Meaning if you ever want to get it off, it's going to be a rough one to get off without leaving some damage behind or some residue or both. So I do recommend the Snap Plate or the stronger Snap Plate Plus. Again, get yours at everyamp.com/RTL. And at checkout, use the coupon code RTL for a discount. Immaculate Reflections, I mentioned him earlier. My detailer, who I very much recommend if you are in or going to be in the greater San Francisco Bay Area with your Tesla or another car in your garage that you love. Whether you want to do paint correction to get that finish looking as good as it can, paint protection film to protect your paint from little road debris, rock chips, or in my case, my own dumb self from my power, protect my paint from my own power washer. You can do that. Ceramic coating is also an awesome service that a professional detailer like Immaculate Reflections can do a great job of for you, so that you don't have to wax your car for the next 5-ish years, maybe more. If you are interested in booking an appointment for your car at Immaculate Reflections, go to their website, irdetailing.com. You'll see a contact form there. When you send that in with, whatever message you type about what you're interested in, just make sure to mention that you're a Ride the Lightning listener, so that any work that you do book in with them, you'll be extended the kind Ride the Lightning listener discount. The Patreon, I mentioned it earlier, I'll mention it one more time. Patreon.com/Tesla Podcast. That is the primary way through which you can totally voluntarily choose to support me, to support Ride the Lightning. This podcast has always been free. It is free. It will always be free. My goal with the Patreon, since it is totally voluntary, is to just make a way for me to say thank you if you do choose to support me. And so at that base level $5 per month tier, the way I thank you is by offering you an ad-free episode every week, and by offering you that ad-free episode early every week. If you step up to that $10 per month tier, that's the most popular one, you'll get both of those things I just mentioned, and you'll also get access to those lightning round bonus mini episodes. There are 145 of them, so if you join today, if you sign up for my Patreon at $10 per month, you get access to all 145 of those. And by the way, if you are new and you're wondering, well, how do I find them besides just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling for days? Click on Collections. You'll see that at the top of my Patreon page, right near the top by my logo. Click on Collections and then just click on the Lightning Round collection. All 145 of them are right there. So try to make it super easy. So anyway, if you do choose to support me on Patreon, I'd be humbled and grateful for it. Go to patreon.com/Tesla podcast to sign up, see all the info, etc. And if you're not already following Ride the Lightning on your favorite podcast service, that's a totally free thing that I recommend you do, because it means that anytime there's a new episode, you'll get a push notification reminding you of that new episode, so you make sure to go listen to it. I'm on all the big podcast services. Most of you seem to get this podcast from Apple Podcasts. I'm also, though, on Spotify. I'm on TuneIn. And I'm also on YouTube podcasts as well. So just search, if you're on any of those services, just search Ride the Lightning Tesla. You should see me pop right up. Just click follow and you're done. And I think that will just about... Oh, if you can, or if you're interested in following me on social media, I'm on X and I'm on Instagram. I have the same username on both. That username is DMC_Ryan. My email address, teslapodcast@gmail.com. Lastly, before I go, I want to say hello and thank you to all of the upper tier, super generous Patreon backers. I'll start with the Roadster in Space tier. Huge thanks goes out to Pete White, Lyle Austin, Steve Radspinner, Fernando Cordero, Lawton from Chicago, Sean Neidig, Neil Weaver, Jackson Wallace, Rolf and Jennifer Evers, Howard Anthony Smith, Victoria Iacovetto, Tesla Hitchhiker 42, Kara Weston, Robert from near Philly, American Home Contractors, Doug Carey, Michael Gallo, and Tony Figueroa. Next up, the Maximum Plaid backers. It's going to be, by the way, by the time you hear this coming weekend for the next monthly Patreon Zoom Hangout. That is the perk available at the $25 tier or higher. We always have a good time chatting about all things Tesla and EV at those, so I'm looking forward to that this coming weekend. So a big thanks to the Maximum Plaid backers. Hopefully I'll be seeing and chatting with many of you on that monthly Patreon Zoom Hangout call coming up. So thank you to Jonathan Wales, Cameron Clark, Daniel Grummer, Seth Capello, Nick and Tony, the Galpin family, Ryan from New York City, Darren Nickel, Kaz Barnes, Patrick Wisniewski, Gil Cabrera, Todd Badger, Joe Edgel, Kevin Yank, the Tesla Owners Club of San Joaquin Valley, Will Stedman, Justin Perez, Jeremy Harris, Chris Beach, Tom Mills, Corey O'Donnell, Aaron, John Cody, Joel Sapp, Paul Casarino, Chris Osborne, KB, Adam Lavoie, Jason Chalukas, Travis Krenzel, Bruce Otterstein, Tom Behan, Josh Pennington, John from Cream Ridge, New Jersey, Dustin Hart, Derek Finley, Charles Clement, Damon Klein, Jeff Brown, Jerry Slinger, Clayton Goodfellow, Kenneth Corbett, Brian Bertoglio, Kim Bay, Troy Sievers, my brain flipped that for some reason, and Nick Jacoby. And finally, an extra thank you to the Plaid level supporters. This tier is officially no more on the Patreon, but these very kind and generous folks continue to support me at that tier, and so I'll keep giving them all the perks they should get, including this shout out. Thank you to George Cassiopo, Logan Willis, Peter Chalet, Eric Randolph, Dory and Steve Guberman, the Tesla Owners Club of Taiwan, Ron Lee, Charlie Gillespie, Jeff Angwin, Chase Cabanillas, the Lydia family, Aaron Altschul, Jared Brown, Jerome Strack, Jamie Dalton, Mike and Barbara from Louisville, Matt Nixon, the Tesla Owners Club of Wisconsin, Ish, not Elon Musk in quotes, Peter, and the Bear Boys of Colorado. And that, my friends, brings us to the end of Ride the Lightning episode 514, live from Los Angeles, from downtown LA. Yeah, coming at you. So it's been a fun one. If this episode sounds a little echoey, which I fear it might, when I was doing the test recording earlier, it did kind of seem that way on the playback. It's just, there's nothing I can do about it here in the hotel room. I actually put pillows in front of me to try and deaden the sound a little bit. I'm not sure it really helped because I'm kind of just talking into a wall here at a desk in the hotel room. But anyway, hopefully it sounded okay. Hopefully you enjoyed the podcast. I had fun making it. Happy electric motoring, my friends, and I'll see you back here, as always, next Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific.
Elon Musk, people don't like Elon Musk. The guy founded PayPal and Tesla, and people are like, yeah, but he's a troll and a bad dad. I'm like, so was mine. He did nothing to fight climate change. Also, have you been in a Tesla? Have you been in a Tesla? My buddy let me drive his Tesla. I laughed out loud at how fast it went. Been clinically depressed my entire life, on dozens of medications, in a Tesla for 13 seconds, cured forever.
I mean, I think a Tesla is the most fun thing you could possibly buy ever. That's what it's meant to be. Our goal is to make it's not exactly a car. It's actually a thing to maximize enjoyment. It's maximum fun.